head and said,
Hello.
"Sorry, dear, I tried, but I had no luck."
Hello and welcome to another Death by Bunjie live stream. It worked. I think it worked. I think we are live. You guys are going to have to let me know, of course, if you can hear me. Hello, Renner Outdoors, unedited. Hello to Ohio, the great crossbow state of Ohio. Thank you for joining me. Those of you who are logging on here, thank you very much. I'm hoping that this will be a little bit smoother live stream than the other night. I had a little trouble getting on, and the other live stream where we did the big reveal where you got to find out what the new Bunjie is, the new addition to the Bunjie family here in the Kingdom of Bunjie, was that new crossbow. You found out all about that new crossbow, and YouTube took it down because of a copyright issue. Can you believe that? But hopefully that looks like it's going to work out pretty good. I'm going to explain that. You're going to find out what really happened there, all the gory details. Not a big deal, but we're going to find out about that. We will talk about that. I have a script over there. Believe it or not, guess what else I have here? I'm hoping this is working. It looks like you guys can see me. And yep, it's live. Good deal. You guys are confirming what I was hoping to be the case, that, hey, it's going to be working. And we have someone loud and clear in Belfast, Northern Ireland. Holy cow, for the second live stream in a row, we have somebody from across the Atlantic Ocean. That's really, really cool. Thank you very much for joining me. Thank you all for joining me. But if you're joining me from Ireland, that tells me it's not 7 p.m. Eastern time there. I'm betting it's not, just finished dinner, we're going to lay around and watch some TV and all that good stuff and have a good time. It's like a different time of day. So thank you very much. I'm going to go through and talk to the folks that are on here. Thank you very much for joining me. But I wanted to show you, I've been tinkering around with things. How's that? How cool is that? I don't know if that's good or bad. You get my side profile. I can't do much about what I look like. That's not going to change in preparing for a live stream. It is what it is. But you get to see a little bit more of the room this way, and I think this is kind of cool. So I have that one. Now, Genevieve is not with me this live stream. I know. She has school tomorrow. She's got to get ready for that, all that kind of stuff. So she's working on that. And she was with me the other night when we had our big live stream. That worked out really nice. It turned out pretty cool. But I do like the fact that you get to see my Death by Bunjie logo that Genevieve and I put up on this wall. This is the trophy room here in the Kingdom of Bunjie. You see some trophies going on over here. Right up front, we see the meet and greet trophy that I was given by a friend of Bunjie who actually made that, painted it himself. How cool is that? It was awesome. He had everybody there sign it. It was the neatest thing. Up here we have the Sika deer that I killed a couple years ago. That's the big guy from Maryland from 2019. A spike in velvet that we saw. These are all videos you guys remember. Genevieve's precious little doe skull is there. We got that done down there in Maryland as well. And I have a Maryland license plate because I call this the Maryland corner. That's it for the tour. You guys are probably like, yawn. But I did want to sort of give a little bit more excitement to the live streams here, another angle. If it's just going to be me talking, at least you get a different view as well. So we'll go back on here. We're looking at the regular one. I'm going to say hi to a couple folks, and we'll get into all the gory details about what's going on here in the Kingdom of Bunjie. Our opening day for the Spring Crossbow season, Spring Gobbler. I got some pictures to share with you, some cool stories that you will hear all about. And this week, I even started editing this week's video. There's going to be a new hunting video up. I'm so excited to get back into doing hunting videos. It feels like it's been forever. It's been a few months, right? Hello out there. I want to say hello and thank you to Ray Phillips, fresh gobbler breast fried in butter in a black cast iron skillet. Rub it in. Rub it in. That's not what I have. He must be talking about his dinner. But hopefully we will have that kind of meal here coming up soon. And I'm betting if we do, it's going to be Miss Genevieve that provides it, not me. My turkey hunting skills are an embarrassment to the Kingdom of Bunjie, I'm thinking. Moose Junction Hunter, great to hear from you watching live this time. I appreciate you catching up on all the other live streams and stuff and your input from time to time. I really do appreciate it. Hello, Jennifer Robinson. You were with us the other night too. I went for the big reveal there, and I appreciate that. Also, I heard your, I sent you an email, actually. So it was pretty funny. So, and I got your email. I thought we had some pretty fun going back and forth there a little bit here. Thought that was pretty funny. You guys are getting turkeys. Dylan, you got a turkey. That's fantastic. And you're, again, rubbing it in that you've eaten wild turkey here recently, and I have not. Hello, Daniel Garcia, a true friend of Bunjie, if I remember correctly, from down in Texas. He joined us last year for the virtual live stream that we did, the virtual meet and greet. It was like a virtual crossbow shoot off, right? We all got together and shared information about our crossbows. That was a lot of fun. George Keith, I think you asked me about the meet and greet here recently, didn't you? Am I correct? Am I thinking that I got a voicemail from you? I have information for you coming in this video. I'm going to give you some information on the upcoming meet and greet, at least what I have at this point, at this juncture. Renner Outdoors, hello to you again, to Ohio, Endless Horizons. Daniel Garcia, again, that broadhead looks mean. You will see more of that broadhead in this, and we're going to have some broadhead talk in this live stream. So, yeah, that's a mean one. That is the Rage Tripan. I do love that thing. Hello to you, Chuck Maxwell. Jim Manning, good to hear from you. He is a fellow Pennsylvanian, a fellow Bradford County Pennsylvanian. That's pretty cool. And he is a SWAT user, if I remember correctly. He's a big fan of the SWATs. Robert Morgan, DJ Bennett, hello to both of you, Dan K. Eddie Legg, good to hear from you. Roland Marshall, we have just tons of people on here. Thank you guys for logging on and joining me for this thing. And then it jumps really fast and I lose where I was. So we'll see what we got here. But thank you very much. Tilt the camera up so we can see that beautiful buck, the big guy. I've got it on a tripod and it doesn't want to cooperate for that. I'm going to try and in future videos, you'll be getting a tour of the trophy room here as it gets cleaned up for one thing and stuff gets put away. As it gets more organized, I will share with you that stuff. And it kind of cuts off on the chest of the buck. I know. Maybe we can spin that around or something. You know what I could do? Before this is over, I'll go over there and play with that camera. We'll figure something out. We will figure something out. Don't let me forget. Hello, Murder Incorporated Hunting. Good to hear from you again as well. A lot of these folks, I see you from the other day, too. That's pretty cool. I'm going to show a comment from Eddie Legg, and we'll start by reading that comment. He has a question here or a comment. It's a lengthy one. Rich, you can only leave your new Scorpid cocked for 12 hours. You can leave an Excalibur cocked in excess of 14 days straight. The Scorpid is, however, a very fast, smooth, and quiet crossbow. I have absolutely no intention of leaving my Scorpid or any other crossbow cocked for more than 12 hours. I think one time I did leave Bunjie cocked for 13 hours. I think I sat in a tree stand one day. And without letting it down, I sat there that whole day. It was opening day, 2014, something like that. Shot a doe, dead on, perfect. Recovered the doe. The video's on YouTube. And that was a great outing. It was a fun time. But the older I get, the more I hunt mornings or evenings. I am not leaving it cocked over lunch or anything like that. I hunt in the morning, decock it, go off, and that's what we'll do. And that's what I did on this one. I wouldn't want to leave it for 24 or for 14 days straight. That seems a little excessive to me, and I wouldn't want to do that. I would do that with old Bunjie even, but Bunjie suffered enough, with the dry fires. It doesn't need to be cocked for long periods of time. Chuck Smith, let's see old Bunjie. Is he hanging on the wall yet? It is not. Still working out the details of that. What I actually plan on doing is I've got the feet from my buck of 2019, Bunjie's last big buck, Bunjie's biggest buck. It was the coolest thing. That buck, I'm going to get the feet done from that and figure out a way to hang it up there on the chimney kind of thing there with the feet and hang it up there. And it'll look really nice, I'm hoping. So we'll do that as part of the tour down the road. That'll be a lot of fun. Can't wait. It is great to see you guys on here. That's awesome. And I'm going to highlight where I'm at so I don't lose my spot. And I'm going to pick up where with my little script. Now, the big reveal. We did have the big reveal, right? Friday night. I was so excited about this. Genevieve and I put on a whole bunch of time on this and planned that live stream. We had a big script there. I've got a big tablet hanging on a easel over there so I can see it from here. Try to write big enough that I can see it with my eyes. And it's sitting over there, and we had that script worked out with 2 camera angles. That's pretty cool. And overall, it was the live stream turned out pretty good. I know a lot of you folks joined us, and I really appreciate that. The problem I had with the live stream, apparently, right, we got through it. It went fine. I didn't, ran out of time. I talked too much on some things, and I didn't save enough time for the stuff that I wanted. But I got all the material shared and all that. And we did the big reveal. The big reveal, which is the new Bunjie, right? The new Death by Bunjie crossbow, the one that I'll be hunting with at least this year. And that, I'm going to go to my pictures and I'm going to see if I can show you, because you know what it is. Those of you who tuned in before already know what that is. But it is the, I'm going to move this right up here. Maybe that'll work. There it is. Look at that. It is the Scorpid Deathstalker 420 with an Excalibur scope. Okay, hopefully that's not too embarrassing. That scope, that sort of thing. But I think that is a cool setup there. I'm still playing around with my stuff here. I'm getting a little bit, without Genevieve here, I'm falling apart, right? So, and I spilled my tea. So, that Scorpid Deathstalker 420. Love this crossbow. It has performed so far in the backyard. The big question we're going to try and see if there's any information on is it going to perform in the turkey woods? Is it going to perform in the deer woods, in the crossbow woods? The video got taken down, right? I was sharing this big moment with everybody, and we had about 2,000 people, I think, watched it live by the YouTube counts. By the time all was said and done, there had been 2,000 people that had logged on and watched a part of it or found out the answer. And then, you know, you guys were, if you didn't catch it, you're trying to watch it and it was a private video. It got taken down because of a copyright strike. Now, I just want to be clear. Had nothing to do with Scorpid, nothing to do with Mission, nothing to do with Raven, nothing to do with Excalibur or any crossbow brand, nothing like that at all. It was 100% because of a little snippet of music that was used in it twice as more of a joke than anything else, that to be continued meme. And I'm going to show you the video that I did. I'm quite proud of the video. Genevieve and I shot this video a couple of months ago when it was still snowing, as you'll see. And we shot this video in the backyard, and it's basically a goodbye to Bunjie. It's an homage to Bunjie, right? It's just meant to be, to send Bunjie off with a great farewell, the original Bunjie. And here is that video. Okay, and I'm going to turn the volume down right there. That to be continued meme, that's what YouTube flagged. Can you believe that? It was just the music associated with the words to be continued, that little music clip. There's like a little acoustic thing, and then there's a little bass thing. And it's a cutesy little thing. You see on YouTube all the time. You see it on Facebook all the time. I put it in a video a couple of times. You know, Genevieve and I were laughing about it. She got a kick out of it. People watched, got a kick out of it, and boom, YouTube flagged it. So it froze my video up a little bit. I had to resolve that copyright strike, got it fixed. That video is now back and running. So if you want to watch the live video, just follow the link, go to it. It's on the YouTube channel. You can find it. If you have questions, you can't find it, let me know. I'll send you a link and we'll get it done. Whatever. You can always go on deathbybunjie.com and contact me on the email. There's a form you can fill out, a contact form. It'll email me and all that good stuff. I welcome any feedback on the new selection of a crossbow, on that video, on how to kill a turkey, because I need all the help I can get. So send me the messages on emails and we'll talk further about that. So that worked out pretty cool. I was pretty happy with that. And the video went well. I'm disappointed with the way that all wrapped up, but it is what it is, right? You can't have, not everything's perfect in this world, but we're doing the best we can. That's what we're doing. We're doing the best we can. So hopefully that going forward won't be an issue, and it won't be an issue with this one. So I turned the music down. That was the copyright thing. But what a mess. So on to the selection of the new crossbow, and I want to give you the feedback. Really, the purpose of this one, for me, I'm going to go give you sort of my reaction about the Scorpid style crossbow, the Scorpid Deathstalker at this point so far, how it's performed for me, how I have gotten used to it or whatever, because this has been a big change for me. I'm a guy that's hunted with the same crossbow for 11 years with that Excalibur Axiom, probably like the most simplistic style of crossbow there is. And then moving to any new crossbow, it's going to be a challenge, right? That's a pretty big change. And I'm not a guy that likes change. I'm not a guy that looks for change, right? I'm a guy that prefers to keep it kind of the way it is. I don't like changing stuff if I don't have to. But this change, I think, is for the better. And sometimes you just got to adapt and survive, right? So that's what we got to do. And this one, the first thing that was kind of something I had to adapt to was cocking this crossbow. Now, rope cocking was an important feature to me. With Bunjie, I can bend right down there, put the hooks on it, cock that thing in 2 seconds, shoot it, cock it again, whatever. I can decock it. I can talk. With people, I can uncock and recock it if I didn't like the way it felt or whatever. And Genevieve always laughs about that because it's just so simple, right? Going to this crossbow, this one cocks with a rope, but it's a sled style rope cocker. I don't know if you guys have any experience with those. I had absolutely none going into this crossbow, and it took a little getting used to. That's a fact. Watch me the first time I'm cocking this, and you will see that I'm not making this
Honestly,
up.
like,
I
this
was
is
struggling a
almost-
little bit.
Well, you're gonna videotape me doing this.
Yeah.
I don't even know what I'm doing. Of what value is this? Given that I don't even know what I'm doing, Genevieve.
Oh.
I don't even know how to put it on. You can do it if you want. Holy cow, you gotta pull that right back. Wow. So this, you actually gotta pull that back a little ways to get that on here. Ooh. You catch that? That's weird, isn't it? Well, here's the moment of truth. I don't like how that rides up. I don't like it. Don't like it one bit. So we'll do this. Ready?
Yep.
Is that just cock?
I think so.
Where's the safety?
On the side.
It's unsafe.
Yep.
All right. It's unsafe. Nope. Unsafe.
Yeah.
We're just going to put, now this one does have the, all right, I'm going to pause it there. We'll come back to that in just a second. One of the things I want to make note of on those sleds, there's a couple, the disadvantage is it doesn't feel, in my mind, at least to me, it didn't feel like it was really grabbing the string. And so I'm going to pull back on this thing, and it just feels like it's going to give off. There's these little teeth that stick down, and they grab the string and pull it back. Turns out it's pretty well designed. They're not going to slip off of there, but man, it felt like, well, these aren't big old fingers and big old claws that go on there and pull back. They're just like little tabs. And it just didn't feel like it was substantial enough, but it has been absolutely no problem. In my mind, it just felt like, don't pull on it too hard kind of thing. And the other thing that made a difference was, once I realized that if I use my left foot and bend it down, straight down over the crossbow. I can never really do that with Bunjie because Bungie's 39.5 inches long. So I can't bend over, my gut's too big, and I can't bend over that crossbow because my legs are too short. So I always had that off to the side, always cocked it the same way, never had a problem. With the Scorpion, this thing's short enough to where I can actually put my left foot in the stirrup, reach down, pull it back, and it's pulling it straight back. It actually cocks even easier than it appeared in the video. So I really don't have any problems at all cocking it now once I figured that out. Plus, once you accept the fact that that sled is not poorly designed, somebody much smarter than me designed that sled, and it holds the string just fine. I also like how the fact when it's cocked, the string is not bent around really wide hooks, okay? With those narrower limbs, as we're moving those limbs in, you get that stricter, that harsher string angle. And with the cocking sled, there isn't as much hook on there to bend the string around, if that makes any sense. So it's really a little bit easier on the string too. String life shouldn't be too bad on this crossbow if I keep it properly lubed. That's my thinking, okay? Now we'll go on to shooting it. This was early on when we were doing that. We're gonna go back on that video real quick and I'll show you the shooting. We'll get up here, fast forward a little bit. How's that?
There's a safety.
On the side. Yep.
There we go. Get that sled off of there. You can see it just sort of pops off. I didn't even have the scope on at this point, but I was just going to shoot it in the basement. So it really didn't matter. We're just going to put, now this one does have the, you know, the style of a, more like a compound bow. It's got a capture style knock on it. So we do have to put that in here. Feed that back. Slide it straight back and listen. It is now knocked on the string and ready to fire. So I'm not too concerned about the speed. One thing I can't really do is work the safety on this side with my thumb. I'd have to go like this. But it's quiet safety. I love it. And we'll fire another one through there. And the chronograph's not going to cooperate. All right, pretty sweet. And as you can see, it's kind of a quiet safety. You can slide it forward, doesn't make any noise at all. You shoot that crossbow. It's actually pretty quiet. It is a quiet crossbow. And that was before I put the little rubber fingers on it. It does come with some limb silencers that I did put those on there. They came, they were in the box. Paid for them, you know, they were paid for. This crossbow, and I can talk about this too before we go into the turkey hunting stuff. This crossbow was a gift. Can you believe that? Not a gift from, I am not sponsored by anybody, and this was maybe there's a little bit of confusion. I didn't go into this in great detail last time, but this was, Scorpion quit local servicing, right? They don't have local dealerships so much, and they're pretty much getting out of that. They are an internet-based company. Because of that, they're real easy to buy from, but they are not easy to go out and try one of, if you know what I mean. You can't really go to a shop and try one. So as much as a friend of Bunjie had seen when I did that video that I really, really liked the Scorpion video, right? The Scorpion crossbow. If you saw the review video that I did, then you will remember that I was like halfway through. I'm like, wow, I really got to look at these. And it turns out I couldn't go look at one. And a friend of Bunjie realized that this was an important crossbow that I should look at. This is somebody I've had a lot of conversations with. And that person's like, you really should, I want you to look at this. So he actually bought me a Scorpion crossbow. Can you believe that? Now, the idea was, here's this crossbow. If you don't want it, if it's not the new Bunjie, then send it to me and I will happily use it and all that. And on the other hand, if it works, there you go. And it turns out, I mean, I kind of, with any crossbow, I think if you use it and shoot it and get comfortable with it, you learn pretty fast whether or not it's going to serve its purpose. But you really can't know everything about a crossbow until you've shot it and hunted with it and maybe a whole season or even more, right? With this crossbow, just picking it up, feeling it, I could tell what people were talking about when they're talking about Scorpion. To me, this thing, it shoulders so nice. The balance is so perfect. All the weight is right above this hand. It's not out in front holding you down. If you get used to it out in front, not so much of a problem, now is it? But if you have to get used to that, this was something that you immediately felt comfortable with it. And once I got comfortable with the cocking, problem solved, right? So that's the story of the Scorpion. And it turned out like, I'm just very blessed and very thankful that I have people that were looking out for my best interest there and looking out really for the long-term interests of Death by Bunjie. It's very important to me to be able to speak to more modern crossbows. This is a more modern crossbow. If I stick with an older crossbow forever, it might make for some entertaining YouTube, but I'm not moving forward myself. I'm not learning new things. I'm not able to share new things. It makes sense that, and that was one of the reasons that you got to sit down. And eventually I sat down and I realized I do have to upgrade just so I can continue to let Death by Bunjie be relevant and modern, right? So that's what we're working on here. So that's that. I'm going to go through the comments now, and then we'll go through some, the update on how Bunjie the third here did, Bunjie 3.0, Bunjie 21 did. We really don't have a firm name on it. It really is just Bunjie. And, I hunt with Bunjie, Genevieve hunts with Bunjie Jr. What more do you want, right? So we're going to look at, though, those and how it did. And I'll give you a sort of a rundown of how it performed in the field. I'm telling you right now, there's no dead turkeys in this, not in the video anyway, okay? So, but we do have some really neat footage we'll share with you in Genevieve's video that's coming out this week. So, Moose Junction Hunter. I took my dad out turkey hunting and ran smack dab into a mama bear and 3 cubs at 25 yards. Holy cow, that's crazy. That's an awesome encounter. I know that she had been working with the turkey calling, and she was pretty excited about sharing that with her father. She had told me about that. So I hope that all went well. That'll make a story right there, really. The spring woods is so much different than all the other times a year when you go out in the woods or when you go hunting. I think the whole place is coming to life. It's like, there's different vegetation. There's those wild leeks that I always look at. And this time of year, I'm carrying a Ziploc bag so I can load it up with wild leeks and, use them in some dinner, hopefully, maybe with turkey breast, who knows. But at least I make like potato soup and put that in potato soup. It's awesome. So there's those kinds of options. the other stuff that's going on, all the different birds. You've been listening to winter birds and winter bird sounds over the winter, and then all of a sudden you're outside. Now you get different birds. It's awesome. The spring is just the spring gobbler. I love it. I just wish I could cap it off with a nice big gobbler. That would be so awesome. So, hello, Larry Miller in Union County, Pennsylvania. Another Pennsylvanian. That's awesome. We got Orrin Miller, another Miller, but probably an unrelated one if I had to guess. Hi, Rich. I would like to see more of your trophies. I will do something with that before we're over. Before we're done, at least I'll try and pan around the room a little bit with that camera. I should be able to figure something out. But I don't have anybody here. I'm going to have to do both things. So we'll figure it out. Frederick Bierweiler. Hi, Rich. Thinking you made a great choice. Great luck to you and Genevieve in the future. You are a fortunate man. I know that. I'm well aware of how lucky I am. Thank you very much for the sentiment. I appreciate it. I'm lucky because I have you friends of Bunjie who share things with me, not just crossbows. The second year in a row that I was gifted a crossbow. And I want to be clear, in both of those scenarios, the crossbows have changed the course of death by Bunjie. And that was kind of the intent and purpose behind the gift. When Genevieve received, when we received Bunjie Jr., the idea was, I just want to see how this affects Death by Bunjie and what you do with this crossbow. And holy cow, did that present last year change Death by Bunjie. It turned it in from a one-man show to a father-daughter show, didn't it? I mean, Genevieve would not be interested in crossbow hunting. Would not be going out this year for Spring Gobbler as a second-generation crossbow hunter. Wouldn't have shot our first buck last year on opening day in Pennsylvania. Wouldn't have shot a doe in Maryland out of a tree stand. Wouldn't have made those accomplishments in her life if it hadn't been for that present. And then, if I hadn't shot a doe with that crossbow at 40 yards, that was the straw that broke the camel's back. That was what pushed me over the edge in terms of, Rich, you really gotta upgrade. You know, it's time. It's time. It's time. It's time. And so we made that change. So this really does impact things. But I want you guys to know, logging on here, I wouldn't do these live streams if it wasn't for the chance to see all these familiar faces. All of you come back and join me, and that really means a lot to me. Just like the trophy that I got right here. I don't know why I got a trophy, but the meet and greet trophy, that is the nicest thing in the world. Someone went out of their way to make that thing for me. Look at this. Another present that I have. This was whittled by a guy. This guy made this. He made this for me and sent it to me. And this is, it's like an old man that you would see in the woods kind of thing, right? And he's got there's a story behind this. I don't want to share all the personal details, but he made this present for me, carved it out, painted it, sent it to me. It's beautiful. You can't beat that. And I really do appreciate that. And I mean, it means a lot to me, and it's the reason I keep doing this stuff. Year after year, we've been doing quite a bit of YouTube videos, 400 videos, 500 videos, something like that. And it means a lot to me. The reason I do that is because I get to share it with you. It's so perfect. You can't beat it. So I really do appreciate that. Chuck Smith, I enjoyed you and Genevieve the other night. Thank you very much. I'm glad you got a chance to log in then and this time also. You can't beat that. How awesome is that? Hello to Ontario, Canada. That's great to hear from you guys up there. I hope all is going well. Nice. It's too funny is the 420 model. Yeah, not that kind of 420, right? Always nice, always like the Scorpid crossbows. Daniel, thank you for that. He's a fellow Excalibur enthusiast, so it's great to hear from you that I've got your support on that. It is a big change, and I get that too, that I got the door open. You can hear a woodpecker out there. I don't know if you could hear it. But another one of those spring sounds, right? You get the doors open and you can start hearing birds outside when you're doing live streams. The changing from one brand to another, I came to terms with that a long time ago. I understand that friends of Bunjie, it might take a little longer to come to terms with that. I get that. That might take a little longer. But I think you'll get around this. I think over time, we'll see together whether or not Scorpid is all it's cracked up to be. Or did I completely misread this? Did I completely misread this crossbow? We're going to find out together. We're going to find out together. It has presented some challenges, and it will continue to present those challenges. I will continue to try and overcome those challenges, and I'll share all of that journey with you, just like I have over the last 8 years. I'll just keep doing that. We'll just keep doing it, right? That's all we can do. Fly Finn, 3 months in a crossbow. Thank you for the basics, Rich. Well, thank you for joining, and I'm hoping it's all helping out. That's awesome. I hope that your journey into crossbow hunting goes really, really well. My eyes I'm getting too old for this. I got a bigger monitor, but it's farther away from me now, so now the print is even smaller, so like it kind of backfired on me. We'll do the best we can, right? Renter Outdoors, keep your arms even when cocking a sled too. Yes, you do have to keep your hands in together and pull straight up. Once I switched to my left foot and bent straight over the crossbow, you're lined up straight. It's like a breeze now. I feel like old hat, you know. Feel a lot better about it. It's pretty cool. A shout out to Upper Peninsula of Michigan. Well, Alex, there's your shout out. Hello up there, and I hope you guys have good weather. I hope you've got some spring gobbler going on here. Maybe a chance to get outdoors and enjoy some of the Michigan North woods. Well, you guys are having some great conversations on here. This is one of the things that I really like about these live streams, is a chance for us to all to sort of talk and stuff. And I wish I could sit there and just be part of the conversations. I end up having to go back and catch up with them afterward, and I think that's what I'm going to have to do. There's just so much going on there, and I really appreciate you guys logging on here and sharing that. I hope you're getting something out of that. You know, I hope that's a lot of fun. It's a good time to talk with people and see some old familiar faces. That's awesome. So I want to talk to you real quick, because I don't want to take up your whole night. We're halfway through this thing here, and I don't want to take up the whole night. There was talked about all that good stuff. We're going to go on to the pictures. Let's look at some nice spring pictures. That's what we want to do. So the day started, Genevieve and I got up 4:30 in the morning. Can you believe that? I thought for sure that's just too early for me. Frankly, I'd be doing a late morning hunt and looking for the second wave of gobblers, if that's such a thing, but I would be doing that if it weren't for Genevieve. She was psyched about this. I'm not going to let her down. We got up bright and early and went for our trip. We got out there. I set up in one blind. This turns out to be my setup. I didn't do a half bad job doing that in the dark. That's what it looked like. You know, it's always kind of a little bit of a, you never know what you're going to get. You know, you set up in the dark and then the sun comes up and you're like, shoot, why did I put it here? You know, or whatever. I'm always worried about that. This one actually turned out pretty good. I think I had a decent setup. That was actually not a bad spot. It's wide open there. I could pretty much make out what I was doing. But she set up her own blind, and you'll see video of that in this week's video, our hunting video that's coming out. She did her own filming. She did her own blind setup. She set up her own decoy. She broke it all down and still beat me to the car. The kid amazes me. I can't tell you enough about, and she's sending me hints now about how to fix my turkey decoy, because she said that this, for example, is she looks like she's looking at the ground too long, like she's studying something on the ground. So she's like, you got to poke the head up a little bit and do a little more of an S shape to it. She's right. I know that. I'm well aware she's correct. That's what we're going to have to do. The well pad food plot is a little bit overgrown these days. It's perfect for spring gobbler though, because it's still kind of wide open and there's really nothing in it. So when you set up your decoy, a turkey on either end of it can see. A turkey coming in behind me on the well pad, if he comes across the back of the well pad, might see it. A turkey out in the woods could probably see that decoy from a distance. That's pretty cool. The inside of the blind. Now here is where the Deathstalker 420 really shines to me. It doesn't take much to make me happy maybe, but a smaller, more modern crossbow like this barely takes up any room in the blind at all. Bunjie, of course, 39.5 inches long, sticks way out in front of you. Very comfortable. I never had any problem with it, but it takes up a lot of floor real estate. Now, I use those blinds. If we go back there and look at the blind that we're using here, that's that Ameristep Doghouse blind. I really like them for crossbows because that front window, it's not broken up or anything like that. You don't have to sort of balance your shot out of a small hole. You've got this nice big area, and I only leave one of them open. It keeps the whole blind nice and dark. You really can't beat it. They pop up, pop down, the whole bit. You just fold them up, throw them back in a bag. So they're a good setup. I do like those. Plus they're dirt cheap, and I will put a little plug in right now. If you are interested in those blinds, look at the Death by Bunjie gear page, because because, and I do send out a little notice on Facebook when the prices change. Those things, these blinds, you can buy them for like $36 sometimes. $36. The prices fluctuate. Sometimes they're 50, 90 bucks, something like that. But when they drop down to like 36 bucks, I always buy one or two of them because that way I've got a couple of blinds. I'm getting like for half price. And those things, they only, if they last, this one's lasted me, it's on its third year, but they're not going to last forever. And I don't leave them out too long. But, you can't beat a $36 blind, especially Genevieve shot her buck this year out of that blind with me sitting next to her and filming. So they do support two people. I mean, they're a handy little blind. Plus we were able to carry them in and out. And what more do you want? So, but on the Death by Bunjie page, if you go to deathbybunjie.com, okay, and you look on there, we can do a little click here, hopefully, and hopefully I can show you what I'm talking about. Don't make a liar out of myself here. But if you click on the gear page, it'll take you to this where you can actually search, and you could type in blind, for example. Oop. And if you know how to spell, it's even better. But if we hit that, it'll tell you the blinds, right? I don't know what I just did here. I scrolled down. But right there, it'll give you, links to permethrin. I spray that on the inside of the blinds to keep the spiders out of them, that kind of stuff. But if you look right here, I love my blind time with Bunjie. That, and you click on this one, if you were to follow that, it will give you my write-up about that blind, those blinds. It'll show you a link to Amazon where you can click on it and go buy them, and replacement poles. I actually use these kinds of tent stakes because they're nice and heavy duty, like that stuff. But hopefully it's a fun read too. I always have fun writing up these little blogs, for this kind of stuff. But then if you click on there and you go to the old Amazon and look up what they've got on the Amazon.com, and probably this won't take me there because it might not, because I'm doing it through the web browser here, but I'm doing it through this software. But if you were to click on that, it will take you, if you're on the actual website, it will take you to the Amazon.com. And Amazon.com, then you can check the prices and if they're suitable or whatever, and they got different options and all that stuff. The cool thing about the gear page, the reason I make a plug about that is, on one hand, yes, it gives you access to all of the information that I have. So I started writing this stuff up because I'm always getting questions about what gear I use, and I'm happy to share what I use. I'm not sponsored by any of those products. I just want to share what works for me or what doesn't. Personally, it doesn't mean it's going to work for you or not, but my thoughts are all recorded on that website. And if you do buy something off of there, I get a little bit of a referral fee. It does not cost you more. In fact, you're getting the lowest price that Amazon can offer, and that's pretty cool. But I actually do get a little bit of a referral fee too, so that's neat. It helps me pay for the web page, in the end. So that's pretty cool. Back on those pictures though of our outing, that crossbow sat right there, and I really like the fact. I want to go to a different picture here real quick. I'm going to go down. I'm missing some of my pictures. This picture right here, I have the crossbow seated in front of me, and you can see that even with that giant Rage Trypan Broadhead on the front end of that Deathstalker arrow, you are still protecting the front end of that crossbow, the front end of that, the tip of that broadhead is not going to get snagged in the grass in a blind because the stirrup extends beyond it. So it's kind of protected. And I really like that. That was a big, important thing to me. You will remember that. I talked about that quite a bit. So when I lean it there like this on the blind, or if I lean it up against my leg or anything like that, the way I tend to sit in a blind, then I don't have that kind of a problem. I don't have to worry about that broadhead being hurt or anything like that. When we go on to this one, now this picture, what was cool about this is the scope. And I have it turned down, as you can see right there, it's like at 405, something like that, 405 feet per second, because I'm using that 150 grain broadhead. I actually, out to 50 yards, I have to turn down to about 400, believe it or not. But I had to tinker with it when I was stretching it out to 50 yards. But I have this thing dialed in now out to 50 yards with the 150 grain broadhead. That has been a little bit of a change for me, and you guys can let me know your thoughts on two things. Number one, I'm using the scope. It's an Excalibur scope. Reticle's out to 60 yards. Is that just a bad idea? It feels weird, okay? It kind of feels weird to have an Excalibur scope on a Scorpion crossbow. But I got to tell you, it's helped me make the transition to this crossbow. It's made that transition a little bit easier because it looks familiar to me. I don't have to learn a new scope. It's bad enough to learn how to cock the thing, right? I can see right through the scope. It fits perfect. The relief is perfect. It's low light. It's got all the low light in the world. It only has the 60 yard reticles, so the reticles aren't crammed together with lots of reticles. I kind of like that. But then on the other hand, I don't have 70, 80, 90, 100 yard reticles. Don't necessarily need those. Just give me your thoughts. And that's something we could discuss, of course. And I'm always interested in hearing people's thoughts on that kind of stuff. When I look, they're letting the cats out. That's too funny. The cats will stay in here. They don't care about the live stream, but when they want to get out, they want to get out. That's how it is. So the cats are not big crossbow fans, I don't think. They're kind of finicky. Pictures. There we are. Boom. Back on the old pictures. So the other thing about that setup is I do like the scope. It does seem to be performing okay. I don't have a problem with that. But it is kind of a weird thing to have that scope on there. The Tacticam mounted right up under the scope, perfect. That's one of the things I like about the Picatinny rail. Had room for that, and this scope leaves enough room for that Tacticam mount to go on there, and that's pretty cool, I think. So Genevieve had her own blind. I want to be clear, she was within walkie-talkie distance of me the whole morning, so I was in touch with her. We didn't talk about turkeys because you're not allowed to do that. We're not allowed to chase game on electronic devices in Pennsylvania. You can't use that for the discussion of the actual hunt. But we did talk, you need anything, that kind of thing. And then I followed up with her later in the morning. That worked out pretty good. Of course, that broadhead protected like that. This crossbow does have those spring-loaded string dampeners mounted to the stirrup. That serves to make the stirrup a little bit quieter, and it's supposed to stop and reduce the string vibration as well. It seems to do that, but Genevieve commented that the only thing she could hear on this crossbow was, in fact, the string dampeners. It's like they're actually louder. Get this. This is the weirdest thing. When that string goes forward and hits those dampeners, they make a compression sound, right? Like that kind of thing. She commented listening to it, like that's the only thing you can hear when you shoot the crossbow. Like you hear it fire, but that clicking, that's like the loudest part of it, is the string hitting those. Isn't that weird? And some people had sent me messages suggesting that there were some complaints about that style of string dampener. And maybe that's a thing. I don't know. They seem to be functioning just fine, of course. And I like them. I like the concept. But if you guys have any feedback on that or thoughts on that, that'd be interesting to hear. I don't have a quiver yet. I am looking for ideas for a quiver. I am a quiver kind of guy. I really am. But right now I'm just carrying them all in a case, and maybe that's not so bad. I got 6 arrows. They fit real nice in the case. The broadheads are protected and don't have to worry about that. They fit in there just nice. And one of the things, though, that is a little bit different about this is the decocking of this crossbow. Now, there is no rope decocking of this crossbow. Obviously, that was not a deal breaker with me. I already had, you can see it there in my little case, a decocking arrowhead to use for that purpose. Obviously, that's not a deal breaker for me. It'd be nice to be able to cock and uncock a crossbow. But frankly, like the ones with the cranks, there's a lot going on here, because you've got to, like with Genevieve's crossbow, you have to depress the anti-dry fire and fire the crossbow and then dial it back, right? And then make sure it doesn't get away from you. But you got to hold in the anti-dry fire long enough to get the string past it. It's a little bit of a challenge. There's some gymnastics that go on there, with your hands. With this crossbow, it's almost easier with hers. And with this crossbow, very simple to just fire it into the ground or something. I did it for the first time, and so far, so good. If you got other ideas or better ideas for that kind of stuff, I really don't want to carry an extra target. I'm not interested in doing that. But if you got ideas, or if you want to discuss that further, please let me know. I can tell you that overall, limited experience with this thing, because I didn't shoot any animals with it, right? I didn't get to draw on an animal or draw up on an animal and shoot. And I didn't get to work the safety in the presence of the animal. I didn't get to get my eye in there on the scope in the presence of an animal or anything like that. So there's more work to be done. But the backyard testing and transportation of this crossbow, both in the car and to and from the blind, was a breeze. I can tell you that historically what I would do with Bunjie is throw it over my shoulder, and I can carry it all day like that. This crossbow, you can't do that. So I was a little concerned about that. Am I going to have to go to a sling or some other design? No problem there. Actually, I just hold it and just carry it and switch hands and all that. The handle, the foregrip on that thing is a really great way to hold that crossbow. You can grab it, just grab that thing like this in your hand, walk with it, then you can switch it to the other hand. It's not a problem. So another good positive design for this crossbow, positive marks. In the car, this thing was a real piece of cake to transport. We didn't even have to put the back seat down. And for me, as a guy that's been using an Excalibur with giant limbs, 36-inch wide limbs, the case is 44 inches wide. To go to a crossbow like this where I can just lay it in the back seat, I don't have a case for it yet. Probably get one of those hard cases like the SKB cases, something like that. But this, I just set it in the back seat. Just set it in the back seat. And it was fine. And I took it out when I got there and put it back. Not a problem. So, yeah, that's pretty slick. That actually, the size, the speed, we didn't get to test the speed on this, right? Because we're not shooting it. We didn't shoot it at any animals, unfortunately, yet. But with the size, the two big reasons for upgrading were speed and size. Those are the two of the biggest reasons I wanted to upgrade. And size-wise, it paid off. I'm very, very happy with it. So far, so good. Let me know what you think. I really did like that thing. It was pretty cool. 2-year subscriber, Evan Outdoors. You have been around for a while, and I remember chatting with you early on when you first subscribed to this channel. Hello, Evan Outdoors. Check out his YouTube channel if you are so inclined. I think that's pretty cool. What target am I using for the 420? I have a handful of targets. The block crossbow target. And if you go to that Death by Bunjie gear page and we look on there, that is a very good question. I am going to go on here and hopefully be able to share with you some cool ideas here. We're going to go back to the gear page, the main gear page, right? We'll get on there and we'll scroll down and we'll type in target. And if you go on there, there are a handful of choices that I've looked at. Now, these aren't targets for everybody. This bulldog weighs 1,000,000 pounds. That thing is heavy, but that will stop any crossbow on the target, on the market, I'm betting. Your Raven 500E is not going to get through this target. This will stop it, and they pull out pretty easily. If you're pulling straight out, it's really not a problem. This is for field points only. It is not a broadhead target. We've got some Reinhardt's top line. These things are fantastic. These will stop anything as well, and they pull out easy, okay? Like, they really do make a difference. The block, I really like the block, especially for broadheads. You can shoot broadheads at this, and it'll eventually get used up. These other ones right here with field points, they'll never get used up. This guy eventually is going to get used up. I'll buy another one. But this one's pretty light, easy to manage, easy to get it around in the yard. We have I throw them in a wheelbarrow and push them down across the yard, or I throw them in a little red cart, one of Genevieve's old wagons, a little red wagon that we took down here. And they fit right in the back of that. And we take them right down there and throw them in the woods. Or not in the woods, but along the edge of the woods. So those are the options as far as targets are concerned. That was a thing that you're concerned about, right? But I swear to you, if you get the Bulldog, the Block, or the Reinhardt, those are going to stop your faster crossbows. I really think that's the case. Even the little chunk target, which is not on here, and I should put it on here. I thought it was on here. But the little chunk target, my little travel target, which I could use as a discharge target if I wanted to, but it's the target that I take with me just to sight in when I'm in Maryland, or if I go to Maine or something, I always take that with me. And that little target, just the right size for traveling, but that even stopped the Deathstalker arrows. The Deathstalker arrows will roll it, you know what I'm saying? If I shoot at the top little circle, it's going to flip it right over and roll it down the hill, but because there's a lot of stank on those arrows, you know what I'm saying? So they're traveling pretty quick. Rich, how do you uncock it? Thomas Keenan, I'm just catching things. I'm going to read a couple things here, see what we got. I decocked that with that decocking head for the first time yesterday. Now in the backyard, you don't have to worry about that. You're shooting, doesn't matter. With the decocking arrow, I just carried that with me, screw it on. I could always screw it on an arrow, take the broadhead off, screw this on and do it. Not a problem. It really didn't work out too bad. So I can't complain too much about that. Andy Wagner, congratulations on your new crossbow, lad. Thank you, sir. I really do appreciate it. I was really nervous about this. Voice is going to give out on me, but I was very nervous on this upgrade because so many people are, we're sentimentally attached to stuff. And it took me 2 years from the idea of upgrading to actually doing it. It took me 2 years. And I probably knew in my head before that that I needed to upgrade, or that it was a good idea to start looking. And it took me 2 years, and here I am asking friends of Bunjie to accept this new Bunjie into your family, into our Death by Bunjie family. I hear I'm asking you to do that like that, right? So I'm always happy when I hear somebody that they are happy with either, Scorpion's not for everybody, 100%, right? No crossbow company is for everybody. I get that. We looked at Ravens, love them, played with the missions, loved it. The Killer Instinct was a cool crossbow. I love that. My heart will always be with Excalibur. I will always appreciate the Excalibur line of crossbows. They have something that no other crossbow manufacturer now has, which is that unique style, right? There's positives and negatives to that, just like there's positive and negative factors in every crossbow out there, right? So that's pretty cool. I mean, I think that I want you to know that, and it's pretty cool when I see people that are accepting of this upgrade, because it's important to me. Death by Bungie is very important to me. What you guys think, you friends of Bungie, I wouldn't have named you friends of Bungie if you didn't matter to me, right? You matter because you're my friends. You really are. And I mean that. And I mean that. Mark Borcher, if the old scope works, I'd stick with it. Well, thank you, sir. I think that's probably true. Unless there's an unforeseen consequence of that odd scope going onto this crossbow, for the time being, that's what we're going to do. If that changes, I will be letting you know, right? This stuff, we'll see where this goes over time, and there's only one way to find out. Only one way to find out. My son and I will hunt our first hunt come fall. I want to hunt in a ladder stand. He wants a blind. Any recommendations? William Nyberg. Those blinds are cheap and a lot easier to set up. Tree stands, probably, there's a little bit more risk with them. Tree stands probably more effective because we're probably talking about deer here. Deer or hogs, something like that. They can get a little weird, little leery of the old tree stands, or of the blinds. So a tree stand is going to give you some advantages. Then again, 2 people in the same tree stand, that's a little close for comfort. Frankly, if you've got good deer numbers, and you guys weigh in on this, you guys help out William Nyberg here with your thoughts and comments and concerns, because I'm thinking if we're talking deer in an area with a lot of deer, right, and you're okay shooting a doe or something like that at 30 yards, you got a food plot, maybe you got bait, something like that, that's legal. See if you can get it done with a blind. Yeah. See if you can get it done with a blind. Because that's a good way to start. It's a good way to start. Frankly, I started with blinds, but really was tree stands also. But I really like blinds, man. If you can shoot them out of a blind, that's what it's all about. I have some ideas on this that aren't time tested yet that I'm going to share in future videos too about blinds that I'm working on, concepts that I'm working on, that this crossbow plays into. So there's a lot more in the Death by Bungie story coming. This crossbow, this 420, the Scorpid Death Stalker, is going to share some wisdom with us, I think, down the road. I'm thinking that's what we're going to do. So we're going to see more about that. You are taking a little of old Bungie out with new Bungie. Amen to that, Chuck Smith. Thank you, sir. I agree. That is like, there's a sentimental attachment too. And in the video that you see this week, there's going to be another sentimental piece that comes up. It's kind of funny, but it's just one of those things that just kind of happened. But there is a sentimental thing with that crossbow. Even while I was looking at these new crossbows, there were times when I'm looking at the old one, I'm like, man, why are you doing this? Why wouldn't you just stick with the old crossbow? It's funny how you get, why do you get sentimental about a piece of equipment? I don't know. Do carpenters just love this hammer? I'm betting they do. I'm betting there's carpenters who get this one hammer and they're like, man, I can't part with that hammer. You know what I mean? But there you go. Thank you, Jim Manning, for the advice there. I appreciate that too. I do. Head fix for those dampeners. Okay, yeah, we're talking about the string dampeners there, yep. I kind of agree that the scope, 100 yards, Ray Phillips, when you get those longer scopes, they are a little bit busy. And for my eyes, fewer reticles is also a little bit better. I like the triangles on this scope too, like we've sighted for right there at the tip of that triangle, right? As opposed to a circle or a dot that covers up your target. I kind of like it. I kind of like it. Scorpion makes an awesome quiver. I'll look it up. It's a 3-arrow though, I think. It's a 3-arrow quiver, right? You have to buy 2? Is that so you'll buy 2 of them? Okay. Such as it is. That was the joke for the evening, right? But I would like to have like a 4-arrow quiver, man. I'm big on the 4-arrow quiver. If you would have gotten this to shoot the Scorpion, what crossbow would have? Oh, Brian Lurton. If I hadn't gotten the Scorpion, if I was just going with the other 4, which one would I have gotten? Somebody else, actually, a few people have asked me that in one way or another. But today, I was trying to respond to that question. Man, that's a hard question to answer. You know, based on feel, if you watch the other video, you hear why. But I didn't get a chance to shoot that the Killer Instinct SWAT XP. But for the money, that's a lot of crossbow. I'm not saying that's the answer, but for the money, that's a lot of crossbow. You know what I'm saying? I do want to tell you too, on deathbybungie.com, the podcast Talking with Bungie, that's going to get updated this week. It's updated every week. Just about every week I release a new episode. But there are 3 episodes coming. Me and Genevieve talking about our immediate responses, our immediate reaction to shooting each of those crossbows to our, what we've joked was the great Death by Bungie crossbow tryout-a-thon. Because we drove around, I took a day off of work, pulled her out of school, we drove around the county, went to 3 different shops and looked at these crossbows. And we had a great time and we talked in the car. My voice was even more, it was worn out for 3 days because of that day. But those podcasts that we recorded at that time are going to be up. So if you listen to podcasts on your phone, right? I have Podcast Addict. You can go right on there and you can get your podcasts on there updated. There's one up there already. The one on Raven is already up. In the next couple of weeks, you'll have the other 2, okay, where we looked at the other options. And maybe that sheds some light on that question about which one would I have gotten if I didn't go with Scorpion. That's a very good question. They're all great crossbows. And I got to tell you, when I looked at crossbows, with few exceptions, I could see myself shooting those crossbows and being happy with them. You know, you look at center point, people were like, well, you wouldn't want a center point because they're not high end enough. I'm not a crossbow snob. I shot a $500 crossbow, the lowest end Excalibur, for more than a decade. So it wouldn't bother me to shoot a $300 center point from Walmart for another decade. That wouldn't bother me if it was the crossbow for me, right? It really wouldn't. So life takes funny twists and turns. And sometimes, you know, you choose the crossbow and sometimes the crossbow chooses you. I don't know how it works, but man, for right now, going good. I feel comfortable with it, and I'm glad that I'm getting positive feedback from you guys. I really do appreciate it, because I was a little nervous, you know what I mean? I don't want people to be upset or whatever, you know? I keep my Nemesis and my Grim Reaper arrows and a quiver on my pack. That might be where I'm going. Genevieve does that too. She doesn't put it on the crossbow. Rex Tex, if you're happy with it, that's all that matters. Thank you, sir. I appreciate it. I appreciate that. I really do. Mike McCarty, 5-arrow quiver came with his. Oh, wow. I'll have to check that out. If I get my hands on a 5-arrow quiver, that'll be pretty cool. Fill the block with great stuff and start over using it again. That's Old Grumpy Hunter. That's a fact. You can fill some of those. I assume that'll still work when you get the faster crossbows, but you fill it with that expanding foam, and sometimes that will do it. We got just a couple more minutes here. We're going to run through this stuff. And then I have a trivia question for you guys that are hanging around. I've got a trivia question. I have a trivia question coming up here in 1 minute. I'm going to whip right through here. We'll do one more. What is your favorite feature? Okay. Half Moon Knock Outdoors. What is your favorite feature on your new crossbow? And if I say the Excalibur Twilight DLX scope, is that a bad answer? My favorite feature, I will say, okay, I'll give you I can't pick a feature. The size or shape, but the size of it. The fact that it was just like that really is a big deal. Now, there's lots of crossbows that have that size, but when you look at the reverse limb design, that gives you speed without the excessive draw weight, right? This is a 150-pound draw weight crossbow. Easy to cock. It's easier to cock than Bunjie. 11-year-old crossbow, 12-year-old crossbow. That's 175-pound draw weight. This one, and it shoots 300 feet per second. This is a 150-pound draw weight, and it shoots 420 feet per second. So look at that difference, but it cocks so easily, and you don't feel like it's under strain. I never felt that way with Bunjie, but with Bunjie Junior, 285-pound draw weight, you feel like that's under a little bit of strain when it's sitting there and you're playing around with it. Thank you very much. I will go back through here. Oh, and one last thing Chuck Smith is saying on the blind versus tree stand, it all depends on what you are using. With the crossbow, stay with a blind, but if you're both in the same tree stand, it could be a little dangerous. Two different people with two crossbows in a blind or in a tree stand can be a problem. Yeah, if one of them's working a camera and the other one's got a crossbow, maybe that'll work out. But the size, I'm a guy. I get a 2-man tree stand and sit in it all by myself. So yeah, they're a little tight. Let's see what we can do. Oh, on the Scorpion, if it has a Picatinny rail on the bottom, couldn't you use the quiver from Bunjie? That's one of those things I think about from time to time, and I don't think about it when I've got the crossbow in my hands. There's a way to do that. I'm betting there's a way to do that. We're going to look into that, okay? In fact, I know that there is a tripod mount, a 1/4-20 screw in the bottom of the Scorpion Deathstalker. So I know that I could, worst case scenario, screw my quiver onto the bottom of that Deathstalker. It can happen. Don't know that that's what I'm going to do, but I'm betting I can do it. Let's do a trivia question. I am going to flash a question on the screen. And for those of you who might be new to our live streams, understand that how the trivia questions work, you're going to win some stickers or something fun like that. Some Death by Bunjie gear, right? That's what we're going to do. I'm going to flash a question on the screen. You will type your answer out, and the first one that comes up on my screen wins. Unfortunately, I want to go back to my other camera angle too, because we're almost done, and I think that other camera angle, that's such a cool camera angle, and I want to make sure we don't forget that we can use it. So the first one that I see wins. I have to do it that way. I really don't have another way of doing it. So whoever, it might depend on whose internet connection is fastest, but get ready to type in the answer. And I'm going to flash that on here, and when you see it, when you see the trivia question, type your answer in the comment, okay? And I'll get it, and the first one that I read wins. And that trivia question is, here it is, kaboom. What crossbow manufacturer did I recently call weird but good in a thumbnail? Weird but good, question mark. Weird but good, question mark. It is a crossbow manufacturer. I'm going to see if somebody's typing it in here, see if somebody can get it. And while you guys are typing or thinking about it or looking it up, whatever you're doing, we had a Jim Manning, Scorpion. There is the correct answer. This is kind of a funny question because we have Cool Beats typed in Kotobo. That's interesting. That was a good answer because Kotobo was one that we recently reviewed. Daniel Garcia says SWAT. That's funny that SWAT would be weird but good. SWAT is there. I was impressed with the squats. I really was. And a lot of you guys are getting it. Mission, yep. A lot of you guys are getting it though. The Beer Run Barnett. Barnett was a long time ago. That 420 I did like. I did like the looks of that. They had a hyper tack, something like that, I'm thinking. It was a neat little thing. So Jim Manning, you've got my email. I know you and I have gone back and forth, and I'm going to put your name on here. So if you can give me your address, not on here, but send me your address on an email, something like that, and I will make sure you get some cool Death by Bunjie swag. Thank you so much, friends of Bunjie, for joining me. I know I say this every time, but I really do appreciate it. I know I sound like a broken record, but I appreciate having you, friends of Bunjie. I'm a guy that grew up in rifle hunting, and then you get out of hunting and you don't really have all the contacts you used to have, and your cousins move away and they don't talk about hunting as much anymore. And then you get into crossbow hunting and nobody likes you because you're a crossbow hunter, or that's how it was 12 years ago. Right. But then you find people that really have that common interest. And I am so happy to have been able to take advantage of that and meet so many people that we can talk about this kind of stuff. That you'll take time out of your busy schedule to log on here and take part in this. There it is. You can't beat it. Thank you so much. And I really appreciate it. Thank you for joining me. I'm going to type something here down at the bottom. And this is, when we talk about sentimental, this is what it is all about. I'm going to type it in here, and then we're going to say goodnight. Kaboom, there it is. All hail Bunjie. Right there. All hail Bunjie. Let's get the big camera up there. Right there. All hail Bunjie, right? All right. Until next time, all hail Bunjie.